Apologies for the lateness of the video today. I'm still playing catch up from a week away, and I was a little optimistic about how well yesterday was going to go for me. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is To Back or Not to Back, where we're going to go over a whole bunch of the crowdfunding campaigns and GameFound a little bit. Not a lot of GameFound this week, but just a drop of GameFound, more specifically in our sponsored spot of the day. This video is sponsored by GameFound, and over here we have Summit, Big Box plus Sanity expansion, heading into the last day and a half of the campaign. This is your opportunity to get Summit. It's your opportunity to get Summit the expansion. It's your opportunity to get the Big Box. It's your opportunity to get all of those things at a fairly decent bundled price. I know there's a bunch of people who are like, if I had known that this would be a better price than prior campaigns, I would have waited. The good news is you had your game until now. The bad news is this might be a better price than prior campaigns, but it is your opportunity to get everything they currently have for the game, along with the big box, along with everything they've been unlocking for the big box. They have a ton of things they've been slowly unlocking and adding to the big box, from mats to the trays to basically every single thing you can have in there in that box. And that is Summit over on GameFound. Please make sure to use the link down below so they know I sent you. And with that, let's go ahead and head into, well, all the other things, starting off with Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now is where we take a look at a currently, well, usually it's a single game, but Cult of the Now is where we take a look at currently available games instead of all the Kickstarter stuff that is available in the future for sometimes higher price points, so sometimes games that aren't as well vetted. And specifically over here on Game Nerds, they're still going with their deals of the day. And I don't know how much longer this lasts. It may be gone by the time you watch this, but as of right now, they're still active. Game Nerds had a Game Nerds Day over on, I think, Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And because of, too much traffic and all that stuff, they basically extended it through the weekend. That likely means it's active for the next few hours, hopefully at least something, because I'm sending you to like 11 games over here that you can take a look at. But these are 11 games, all at pretty decent prices, from Put Regni for $39, The Loop for $24, 5 Tribes, amazing game, for $35. We have Dinosaur World Retail Edition for $30. There's a lot of options here as far as jumping into a variety of either games or expansions over on Game Nerds. Usually I pick, well, any different sites, Miniature Market, Game Nerds, whatever it is. But Game Nerds currently has 11 games instead of 1 that are well priced and on sale and solid games, and so I figured I'd go ahead and talk about those today. But that's Cult of Now. You want Ankh for $60 instead of the Next Come On campaign for $180, whatever it is for the base pledge. That's your option. Not the same, not equivalent, I know, for those who don't compare apples to oranges, but nonetheless, there are a whole bunch of games over here. With that, let's go ahead and start off with Board Game Adjacent. Board Game Adjacent is going to be all the stuff that is not board games, but is similar, related in some way, shape, or form to board games, starting off with Discovery Fractured Universe. Dice sets with glow-in-the-dark stones for all your RPG games. 1,300 backers, $82,000 raised. These are pretty dice. That's what they are. They're pretty dice in a variety of colors and a variety of options, with names like the Rift, the Void, the Traveler, different things that just, the Fallen, the Rift, and the Void. Those are going to be the pledge sets over there, plus additional options as well, where they have, with the kit enclosed 7 capsules that enclose fragments of a planet located in a space called the Void. So they're being very thematic with their pledge levels. What they really mean to say is they are dice. These are dice. They're available to buy. They're pretty dice, don't get me wrong, but in case you're wondering what the capsules are dice, just to give you a heads up. But as usual, with RPG dice and whatnot, they're often going to be pricey. Pricey is not like a critique. Lots of dice sets are pricey. It just depends on what you're looking to buy. It depends on what you're looking to get your hands on. They are pricey, but pretty, so you have to decide whether you're interested in these. They're board game adjacent. I don't really heavily go into the past that. Then over on Backer Kit. Backer Kit, we're going to be talking our first Backer Kit campaign in To Back or Not to Back, which is going to be Land of Eam. Did I do one last week? I may have done last week or 2 weeks ago. This may or may not be the first backing campaign, never mind. Whatever it is, this is going to be Land of Eam. Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets in this lighthearted fantasy tabletop role-playing game. This is going to be over on Backkit. $150,000 raised on a $20,000 goal. 1,500 backers. 24 days left to go. This is going to be using the Backkit interface, which if you haven't taken a look at this yet, I did a full deep dive. Well, full is relative. It's a 10-minute video. But I did a relative deep dive over on Quack & Co. last week. You can go ahead and check that out if you're interested. But this is going to be, Land of Eam. A bunch of stuff over here. A bunch of RPG content over here for Lord of the Rings meets the Muppets, which seems fairly accurate just given the art alone, but that's going to be going on with Land of Eam. I don't know more than that. If you look at the pledges over here, we have anything from the core rulebook for $30 to all the way up to the Bard Supreme set for $170 if you're looking for some RPG adjacent, well, board game adjacent RPG content. And then we have All On Board, VR platform for board games. 449 backers, $31,000 raised. All On Board is a VR attempt to dive into the board game universe. Tabletopia does have a VR option for board games. I don't know how well it's supported. I've never really tried it. In theory, VR is compelling to me. I don't know if in practice it would or wouldn't be the best option. There's always these trade-offs and compromises with anything you do, whether in-person has its own degree of trade-off of what needs to happen there, anything from setup to making people actually show up and be there. Online has its own trade-offs trade-offs, and VR, virtual reality, will have its own trade-offs as well. I'm not saying I'm not compelled. I definitely am compelled. I have an Oculus Quest over there, and playing Istanbul with my friends remotely does seem compelling, but also having the VR headset on my head for 2 hours while I play doesn't seem compelling. Like I said, everything is full of trade-offs. All on Board is giving you a whole bunch of options as far as different options and pledge levels to get, including different licensed games. The images they have in their campaign, they have a bunch of announced games over here like Black Rose Wars, Rallyman, Defiance, Istanbul, Sword and Sorcery, Escape the Dark Castle, and Steam, with more games currently being revealed. So there are a bunch of licensed games that will be there, but also if you watch the video is very compelling, but they have a bunch of things that look like board games I know, but not like board games I know at the same time. Like there's Everdell that's clearly not Everdell, and there's Catan that's clearly not Catan. I don't know what's going on with those. I don't know if those are mods that you have access to. Fun fact about board games in general, from what I know, and maybe people in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know, game mechanics cannot be copyrighted. Game art and names and things like that can be copyrighted, which means, strictly speaking, I believe it is 100% legal to 100% copy another game as long as you do not use the art or names of that game. I believe that's accurate, which feels wildly unfair, but hey, maybe it just is the way it is, and I'm not here to comment overly. Well, I mean, I guess I'm commenting a little bit. I'm not here to overly comment in fairness. Just if in case you're wondering why you see games that look like games but not like games, that might be why. But yeah, that's going to be VR over here. If you want to jump on board, if you want to invest, if you have a bunch of friends that you know you haven't played games with, and you both all have VR headsets, and you know that you like playing Beat Saber together, and you'd rather play Hero Escape or Guess Who? Well, you can probably do so, and that's going to be VR, all on board, the VR board game jumping into Thingamajiggy. That was the worst segue ever. Next up, we have Leviathan Wilds. This goes into the cancellations and not funding category. We have one cancellation and one not funding. We have Leviathan Wilds, was canceled pretty quickly. 853 backers, $40,000 raised, trending towards the $50,000 goal. So they were making their way towards there, but they weren't seeing the progress they thought they needed for the campaign, and so they're relaunching and reapproaching to get more of a hype, more of a buzz, and to relaunch, basically, to come back. It's something we've talked about in the past. It's a usual thing. There are always people who are upset that something funded or looks like it's going to fund and then cancels, and then there are always people who understand and say, hey, you got to do what you got to do to make this the best product, the best reach, the best all of that possible. This is a game which you're going to be, which you are, well, like, this is a game in which you are climbing the colossuses and breaking down the crystals and destroying those, all with the goal, all with the aim of trying to, well, knock out all the crystals and rescue the colossuses, but being mindful of your deck, your grip, your management, and all your health and life points along the way as you try not to exhaust before things go wrong. Combine that with campaign play across multiple colossuses, and that's basically what's going on in the game, although I'm sure we'll talk about it more when it comes back to Kickstarter, or GameFound, but I assume Kickstarter. And then the not funding category, although this likely will fund, we have Mantle of the Keeper. The Keeper has fallen, you have been chosen, take up this mantle in this 2 to 4 player card-driven skirmish game. Mantle of the Keeper, 181 backers, $14,000 raised, 19 days to go. This, from Ben Levy, first created game, is a skirmish game. It's a skirmish game which, you know, honestly, by the way, watch the video on this. There's several videos today that were very compelling. This video was very well done. It had great music, very, very compelling, very pulled me in as far as just making me want to play the game. It's a skirmish game. It has teams mode, it has free-for-all. It's going to be, you know, have your cards, your characters, all the unique things. It's one of those hard things. It's always harder to distinguish and pinpoint exactly what makes this game different than that one. Well, they have abilities, and they have, you know, they're going to be going and attacking each other, and they're going to have the tracking cubes, and managing your stats and your characters as you attack and move around. And I have to play this probably to know more. Like, it's not a dice-driven game. I believe it's not dice-driven, at least. It's more card-driven as far as how the gameplay goes. But past that, it's a skirmish game. You're gonna have these tiles over here. Watching the video will give you a good general overview in a minute of just roughly how it plays. Pledge levels for this one come in at roughly $45 for the base game, $65 for the Deluxe Edition, and the Legendary Keeper is already all gone. And that's what's going on with Mantle of the Keeper. I imagine it funds. I do, but we will see. From there, we move to the actual, well, actually updates first. Before we go to the actual campaigns, we have updates, starting off with Company of Heroes Board Game 2nd Edition. There's no real updates on this, past the fact that there's 40 hours to go. By the time you watch this, 37, 30, 38, something like that. But 40 hours to go, left a day and a half left on this one. Company of Heroes is going to be crossing $1 million very shortly. This is just an update that, hey, if you miss this, if you're on the fence, you have a very short time frame to jump in on it. Of course, there probably will be a pledge manager, so you should be able to jump in there as well. But Company of Heroes, well-rated game, coming back to Kickstarter. A bunch of expensive options here. Anything $449 for the all-faction gameplay bundle to $614 for the all-in bundle. Like I said in the past video or last week or whatever it was, this is a game you can absolutely commit to in a large way. There's a lot going on in this game, and there's a lot of content. You do not need all the content, and you should be sure that you want all the content, because the reality of life is that sometimes getting too much content can make it harder to play a game, not easier, as tempting as all that content is. I know I know that I'm saying that as someone who has that all-in bug where I always want everything once I want something, but just make sure you're making the right decision and compare it to past games you've backed or not backed. I just got an Ost one, and that's less content than this $614, and even that seems like potentially too much content. The good news is you kind of push the boxes off to the side and pretend there's less stuff, so we'll figure it out. Anyways, moving on from there to actually starting with new campaigns, starting with Neko Boss. Neko Boss, a game that, correct me if I'm wrong, for those who follow this campaign, this basically seems like Devon. A 2 to 4 player abstract strategy game, make more cat herds than your competitors to win. The general idea of this game, it's 76 backers, not a lot going on, but if you like abstracts, it's worth showing or whatnot, a fairly cheap price point. But this is going to be a game in which you have your cat tokens, and what you do is whoever has the highest cat token controls the stack. And when you move the stack, you have to move all the cat tokens as far as you can in a straight line. Now, I could be mistaken here, but this feels a bit like Tsar or a bit like Devon. Probably more, I think you move as far as the height of the stack, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check that. If you move as far as the height of the stack, that's going to be classic gameplay that you find in Devon. A great abstract game in the GIF series, a game I really enjoy. And if this is just giving you a thematic cat version of that, well, for thematic cat-loving people, that's great. Player options over here as far as the options, and they do come with a bunch of board sizes, so make sure you're doing your research on there. We have $19 for the base 2-player game, $24 for the multiple players, $26 for the Neon Town players, all of $37, then $362 if you want the wood-framed city. So a bunch of options here, starting off fairly cheap and then going up as you progressively go through it. But it's an abstract game. If you like this, you probably will like Devon. If you liked Devon, you probably will like this. If you have Devon, you may or may not need this. Just check into it, see. I mean, it has multiplayer. Devon does not have multiplayer, so that might be a reason to get into it. Plus, it has cats. Devon does not have cats. I don't imagine this one holds its value overall. Just the price point versus demand. This one, 76 backers. There's not going to be a high demand for this, but that's the overall Neko Boss 2 to 4 player abstract strategy game. Make more cat herds than your opponent. From there, we have Deluxe Hanafuda deck and the 100 Torii Diverging Paths. 2 things in one, although different pledge levels in case you want it. Coming to you from Pencil First Games. We have 600 backers, $30,000 raised. There's 2 options here. There's going to be the Deluxe Hanafuda deck over here, and the Hanafuda is basically a deck of cards used for, it's like no different than a 52 card deck, which gives you a game system. Hanafuda gives you a game system with a lot of games you can play with this 48 card deck. I believe 12 of each suit, if I'm not mistaken, and they just have well illustrated artwork from, here, 58 uniquely illustrated cards. We have Vincent to Trait. We have 12 beautiful monthly sets of cards from Vincent to Trait, just showing you different options over here, it's just giving you a prettier deck, or prettier is relative. I'm sure there's lots of pretty decks out there, but a pretty deck in which to play whatever games you can play with Hanafuda, in case you're interested in that, as well as an expansion for the 100 Torii. The 100 Torii is a tile-laying game, and this is giving you Divergent Paths, which is giving you expanded new ways to play and score with 4 unique locations, with the Gambler, the Pilgrim, a bunch of things over here. There's some content, what's it called? Kovre has some content in the game. A bunch of other channels have some content in the game if you want to check that out. And pledge levels for this one are going to come in at the Hanafuda Deluxe Edition for $30 for that, $40 for the expansion for Diverging Paths, $65 for the base game and expansion. Sorry, not true. Sorry, $65 for the game, the Hanafuda plus the expansion if you wanted both those things, and then $75 if you want the 100 Torii full experience over there, and then lastly $100 if you want the Hanafuda Deluxe plus full Torii experience if you want basically absolutely everything. So anything from $30 to $100 plus shipping to get all the stuff here. And again, at the high levels, you're talking about getting the base game of the 100 Torii as well, in case you didn't get that, I believe. So yeah, the 100 Torii base game as well, plus the Koi expansion, the Tokumin expansion, all of those things. That's what's going on in this campaign. So 2 main things, a card-based deck system, as well as an expansion for the 100 Torii. As far as holding its value or whatnot, I have no idea on Hanafuda, honestly. I just don't know. I mean, the art by Vincent to Trait is going to make it compelling and whatnot. As far as the expansions, generally Pencil First Games do decently as far as, they seem to be on Kickstarter, and then they have that slightly higher price point once you factor in shipping and all those things, but they also come with the little extras that are otherwise hard to track down. So generally I say if you're interested in them, by all means, it's not really a good back or a bad back. It's just a, hey, if you're interested anyway, it's not a bad back. From there, we move to Bagh Chal, which I might be saying incorrectly. The Ancient Game of Nepal. Trap tigers and devour goats in this ancient Nepali 2-player abstract strategy game. A game in which the tigers outnumber the goats, but the tigers are much more powerful than the goats, and it's up to the goats to slowly overwhelm and overpower the tigers. Now, I've never played this game, but fun callback to those of you who have. And if any of you grew up with the 15 Classic Board Games book, that's something that I grew up with and really enjoyed. And we have, I don't remember what it's named, Pirates versus the something Pirates versus the Volga Bulgas. If you've ever seen this, if you've never seen the image on the screen, that's fine. That's all good. For those of you who have, this is going to be a callback to a degree of nostalgia in your life. I grew up with this book called The Book of Classic Board Games that had 15 board games in it, and this one easily was my favorite one. You had the 2 pirates, and they're starting off in the fort, and the pirates were significantly stronger than the Volga Bulgas, or maybe the other way around. maybe the other way around. I don't remember who's stronger. The black little things are stronger than the white little things, and they are much more powerful, but the white little things can overwhelm the black little things. That's what this reminded me of when I'm looking at Bagh Chal, and I love that game growing up. It's a kind of game system, it's an abstract game system I would absolutely play again today, and so if you're interested in Bagh Chal, then not only is this something that they're trying to keep this alive, they're trying to keep this game, save this game from extinction, a game that is being less and less well-known, and they're trying to, well, bring it back to a degree of more well-known. 930 backers, $9,500 raised, 8 days to go. But more than that, they're doing pay what you want. They're literally doing $1 as the base pledge as far as pay what you want, enter the amount that feels right for one physical copy of the game, which also means, for the record, that people are entering an average of $10 based on the current pledge levels and the amount raised. So good for whoever's doing that, and good for all of those who are paying 20, 30, 40, 50 to counter out those who are playing 5, 2, 1, or whatever it is. So maybe there's no one paying 1. Maybe you're all paying $5 plus. I don't really know, but kudos to the fact that the average pledge is, you know, $10 as opposed to $1. But that's going to be a beautiful portable game of strategy for a good cause. Yeah, it's going to be goats surrounding tigers, but tigers taking out the goats and just trying to figure out who's going to win in that matchup and pairing in this game. From there we have Moon. 4,400 backers, $259,000 raised, 14 days to go. I totally thought this one was launching a backer kit because I had a backer kit linked to it. I guess not. I still don't understand that full system. But either way, 14 days to go. Moon is going to be the third game from Sinister Fish. They had Villagers, they have Streets, and now they have Moon. Moon seems to be almost be a combination of Villagers and Le Havre in a weird abstract way. You're going to be drafting cards, building them into your deck, building them into your base, and then also players can also place their own tokens to use your own abilities. So again, a little bit of the gameplay of Villagers, a little bit of Le Havre mixed in. The Valkyrie expansion giving you a little tokens to go back down to Earth to get important things. The Valkyrie expansion is going to be at any pledge level on Kickstarter. Speaking of which, speaking of pledge levels, we have the Moon over here. We have the base game over here, which includes the base game and the Valkyrie expansion for $36 plus shipping. We have Moon Super, which includes the Deluxe edition plus the Valkyrie expansion. That's going to run you an extra $12 for that one. And then we have the Moon Full, which gives you the Moon Deluxe edition, Moon Valkyrie edition, and custom sleeves as well in case you need all of that or want all of that. In general, Streets and Villagers have been generally well received. I think that they're not games that have a ton of buzz, but they are games that tend to be well liked and are decently rated, and their games always feel premium. Like they are, even just having that, you know, box set on the shelf of these 3 games with everything together, although I will admit that as you get all the stuff, it gets harder and harder to fit it all into the box. Still seems doable from what I know, but maybe the newest expansion for Villagers changes that. I'd have to take a look. But either way, that's going to be the Moon coming to you from Sinister Fish. As far as will it hold its value, will it not, should it back it, should it not, it depends. Their games have generally fallen to a similar range as Pencil First Games, which is their Kickstarter backs are certainly not a bad back. If you are getting things, I generally encourage getting more, not less, although sleeves is a different story. But usually the deluxe editions of the games do a better job holding the value in the secondhand market. People often do want those upgraded tokens and things. The retail edition, I'd probably just wait for retail if you're getting that. I'd just wait for cheaper at retail, likely. Never guarantee, but likely cheaper at retail. So if you are getting this one, if you are interested in it, and you are looking for something that holds its value, I'd recommend the Moon Super Pledge instead. From there, we have Taverns Dragons. Taverns Dragons launching on Kickstarter. This thing was on GameFound. It did cancel, unfortunately, coming back to Kickstarter. I didn't see any notes or updates about gameplay changes. It's possible there are. I just didn't see any. In the FAQ or whatnot, I just saw general notes about, you know, just relaunching. 1,000 backers, $42,000 raised. There's going to be gameplay coverage over on Quackalope. I believe I still have a review on my channel. I'm pretty sure I reviewed this game a while ago. Well, when they had the GameFound campaign. But Taverns Dragons, a rondel-based system of taking your meeples and wandering them around the village, collecting various things, trading them in for these various cards, gathering various heroes along the way, attacking the occasional dragon as they come up. It's basically rondel worker placement. That's what it comes down to. Everything else is secondary to that general idea. Re-rolling your dice, deciding how far your people move, gathering food, attacking dragons. I'm starting to go in circles at this point, which makes sense because it's a rondel-based system, so going in circles is exactly the point I should be making over here. This is coming to you from Lord Raccoon Games, who brought you... I always forget their name. I'm just going to go ahead and click. I'm going to click and see what they did. They brought a different game in the past, whose name I don't remember. It was The Last Bottle of Rum. I always forget that over there. But they brought The Last Bottle of Rum. This is their second game. The artwork looks absolutely amazing for the game. Left, right, and center. Look at the card art. Look at the character art, the heroes. This is incredible artwork. Absolutely incredible artwork. Some of the better artwork I've seen in games, and I believe I said that last time too, and it still holds true. Last time being when it was on GameFound. But currently is one option. There's the Kickstarter edition of the game for $46, bringing you the Kickstarter edition of the game, Taverns Dragons core game, the Sneaky Goblins expansion, the Soul solo mode against the Pyro Druid, and quest cards. Shipping will be charged after the campaign. Plus, there's going to be, you know, all these extra recipe cards and tavern boards, extra things that are being made by the backers, or, you know, stretch goals, so to speak. It doesn't say Kickstarter exclusive, which is worth noting. It just says made by backers, which means it may not be Kickstarter exclusive. But that said, there are, I believe they have higher quality content for the Kickstarter edition of the game. This does have, here we go, the Sneaky Goblin. We have Kickstarter exclusive editions of Kickstarter stuff over here being added, and you can see over here more as well, slowly being potentially unlocked, and quest cards and all those things. So there is Kickstarter exclusive content over here, as well as content that's being unlocked for all editions of the game as well. As far as the gameplay, I enjoyed the game. It's not my favorite game ever, but it was a game that I definitely enjoyed going round and round and all that stuff round and round. Definitely enjoyed the process of the challenge of trying to figure out how to optimize around the gameplay, of where to place your workers, of moving around the rondel, of managing the rondel, choosing the various locations to go, attacking the dragons, managing all of that stuff, managing your wounds, managing your board, your inventory, all of that as you traded it in, and plus, of course, the artwork, like I mentioned already, is absolutely amazing. Overall, a solid game. As far as should you back it, will it hold its value, will it not? Going by last bottle of rum, the answer is probably no. Generally, last bottle of rum, I believe, sells for significantly less, not necessarily significantly less, for less than the original game went for. I imagine that holds true as well over here, meaning if you're absolutely interested in the game and you want to get it as cheap as possible, I'd probably recommend the secondhand market or retail edition of the game, depending on what you're looking for. But alternatively, if you want to back it, you can also go ahead and back it over on Kickstarter. Next up, we have Isle of Trains All Aboard. 1,800 backers, $57,000 raised, 23 days to go. This is the next game from Dranda Games. They're bringing back Isle of Trains with a newer edition of the game. Isle of Trains was an older, small box, pick up and deliver card optimization game, and Isle of Trains All Aboard is a remastered version of the game with rules changes, with upgraded artwork, upgraded components, and all of that, currently on Kickstarter. Currently, the gameplay in general involves you trying to figure out the best way to build out your train. That's what you're doing. You're going to start with an engine card. You're going to start with adding various cards to your engine. Every single card you have counts as the resources you're loading. It counts as the actual train car itself. It counts as the economy that you're discarding towards building more train cars. It counts for all these different things, and you're trying to figure out how to manage your hand of cards, how to build out your train, which aspects or areas of your train to improve upon in order to most efficiently build everything out and then start making deliveries. Making deliveries in the game is going to be how you score points, delivering passengers, delivering goods, delivering them to a variety of locations, from the sideboards over here to the actual main boards, to the spots on them. This everything, you're just trying to make deliveries in the game, but you have to build your car out in a way that makes your engine, makes your set of trains most efficient towards that. You'll also have buildings you can build as well that will give you points for various criteria you fulfill at the end of the game, and you're doing all of that trying to outpace the other opponents before things, well, head to a close. There's also a solo mode as well if you want to dive into that, a solo mode that has you racing against the deck to hit certain achievements, either point-based or scenario-based, as you go through that. So solo mode or multiplayer, Isle of Trains is basically a card efficiency tableau building game with a lot of ways to build things out. That's what's going on over here. As far as the pledge levels, we have 19 pounds or $23 for the passenger pledge. That's the retail edition of the game. In general, as usual, I do recommend getting it retail if you want that. It does directly support Dranda Games, so more money goes to them, but it will likely be cheaper at retail. Although if you want the operator pledge for $29 instead, this will be the Deluxe edition, giving you 18 screen printed passenger meeples as well. I'll give you the Time Engine promo card and any Deluxe edition stretch goals. So a bunch of extra things being given, including numbering if you care about that. I generally don't. If anything, I actually prefer not numbering, but I don't care enough to make a big deal about it. But then we have the Deluxe Feature Train promo cards, and we have the 18 Deluxe pieces as well for the game. So there's a Deluxe edition of the game, a regular edition of the game, and then a conductor pledge as well, includes if you want the playmat at the same time. There's a playmat for the game. This is one of my pet peeves about the game is the fact that the board doesn't actually matter. There is a board, a bunch of cards in the game, and none of it actually matters as far as the gameplay. It looks nice, there's no train movement on the board. Anyways, going to should you back it, should you not? A short version, same as what we said before about other things. The retail edition, likely cheaper at retail. Deluxe edition is a better option if you're getting for it. I don't know if this one holds its value. Isle of Train is a decently well-liked game, but not one that has had a huge demand. This is a remastered version of the game. I've played this one. I have not played Isle of Train, so I can't heavily compare it to the original. But overall, this is one where I am skeptical it will hold its value, but also it's cheap enough that this might be the cheapest and easiest way to get your hands in it if you are interested in this game. Which brings us to Hijacked. We have 3 left. Hijacked next. We're making good time today. I'm making past few weeks. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just I don't know what it is. The past few weeks, I feel like I've been rattling through campaigns faster and making better time, for better or for worse. I kind of like the 45-minute long videos, but I also am not here to artificially stretch them out. So hey, if you're getting the information you need from these, let me know. And if you feel that I'm less in detail than I used to be, let me know that too, because I just think that the campaigns are smaller and shorter and there's less to go into right now. When there are bigger campaigns, I do spend more time. We still have had the hour-long 2-back and not-to-backs, and we still will in the future. Just right now, it's still a small week. I mean, the biggest campaign we have, I think, this week is Moon. But hey, there we go. We just managed to stretch this out by 2 minutes in that conversation, so not the intent. I make jokes like that sometimes about, hey, I managed to stress things out, and people are like, why are you stressing things out? Just do the content and talk fast, Board Game Boy. But if you want that, that's what Crack & Co is for. Crack & Co is a channel where every single video is 10 minutes or less guaranteed. We've been doing a whole lot of videos, a video a day by now for several months, and there's going to be hundreds of videos over there, and they're all 10 minutes or less. So if you want content that is short-paced with not a lot of time for rambling, still time for rambling, but at the cost of the rest of the content, so significantly harder, well, you can check out Crack & Co. Anyways, Hijacked, 454 backers, $20,000 raised. This is a thrilling, eco-friendly board game. To be clear, eco-friendly is not the theme, it's just the production of the game. Set in the year 2050, lets you negotiate with hijackers and save passengers. With art from the Micho, this is going to be a game that basically has you trying to navigate and negotiate with passengers. There's a police assault crew on the way, and so the time is ticking, clock is running out, as you figure out how to talk to and engage with the hijackers to release passengers, to satiate their demands, to satisfy the demands. Satiate the demands just sounds like they wanted food. To satisfy the demands as you go through the game. That's basically what's happening in Hijackers. We have €44 for the eco-friendly edition of the game, and then we have €44 for an extra copy of Hijacked if you want that. And the first 1,500 backers received a free signed promo card by the Micho, which means you have another 1,000 backers before that starts to run out. Overall, art by the Micho is an easy sell for me in general. I always want everything he makes. It does not mean I like everything he makes. It means I want everything he makes. And the theme of this does compel me. I was always interested in the theme of Hostage Negotiator from Van Ryder Games, a game that is, I think Shut Up and Sit Down love that game. I think general reception has been a little bit more mixed, and it feels like a game that is less my speed. This one, I'm more compelled by this because I like the theme of it, I like the art of it, and I wonder if it'll be a game for me, but I also just don't know. As far as should you back or should you not, eco-friendly in general is always a tough one because it's something that should be lauded, it should be approved and sought after, but it also tends to make games more expensive. Now, $45 for the game is not necessarily unreasonably priced. It depends how much content you're getting and what it would otherwise be priced at. I'm not scared. The word eco-friendly scared me thinking the price would be higher. I am not overly scared by the price point, but I am curious how big that box is in terms of how the sizing, the contents, the components, and whether it feels like it's overpriced at $45 or not, and that will factor into holding its value. In general, while eco-friendly is always a nice thing to pursue, practically speaking, it does have ramifications as far as more expensive games tend to be bought less than less expensive games when things are otherwise the same, unless, of course, your name is Chip Theory Games, in which case they're bought plenty. They are bought plenty. But either way, that's what's going on over here as far as Hijacked, a thrilling, eco-friendly board game. Should you back or should you not? I just don't know on this one. The nature of the game, where it is, it can depend on how available it is. 454 backers does put it in a spot, and granted, they'll continue to grow, but it does put it in a spot where I just don't know where this game is, down the road. I just don't know as far as the demand for this, whether people are interested in paying for that. I would definitely put it in the unknown risk category. Back it if you want. It might be a good back. It might be a bad back. I'm less confident in this one. Not in general, I don't know why I said that. Next up, Sunshine City. Sunshine City, a roll and write print and play game from about fossil fuel guzzling city into the solar metropolis of the future. $9,000 raised, 62 backers. This is coming to you from Peter Hayward, who's done a bunch of games. The one that I think he's most notable for is That Time You Killed Me, but maybe it's not. He also did like that Robin something or other. I don't remember. Pillaging Rob. I don't remember what it is, but another game. He's on other games, but I just know him from That Time You Killed Me. And French Toast as well. Either way, I'm getting distracted by the designer here. This is a print and play roll and write game. There are no physical rewards here. This is all print and this is all print and play. It's all digital downloads you can print at home. No physical items. They have options over here. A $10 MSRP, which is always an interesting question on a print and play. A $5 on Sunshine City PDFs for 4 unique cities currently, low ink, full color. And then we have $20 MSRP, which is going to give you $12 backing though for the infinite generator, which is everything above plus mix and match elements to make unique cities. There's going to be an infinite generator that you have access to that will generate different options or cities that you can then print out. So just think of it as constantly printing out your own combinations of this combo-tastic print and play roll and write. This one is very compelling. Peter Hayward in general, I respect his designs, and this one is particular. Mix and match to create 16,777,216 combinations. I think I'm good, Peter. I think I'm good as far as that goes. But that's this. This is a print and play. It's a print and play roll and write. We've had a bunch of these showing up more and more. This one does look great. For me, as usual, I tend to be sad that it's not an actual roll and write. I know that I backed a print and play roll and write once upon a time, and I just don't play it because it's not in a box and available and accessible, and that's my own problem. It is. Maybe if I like put it on some sort of I don't know. I like the concept of print-to-play roll rights. I'm happy they exist. I'm happy they give people an option. For me, I find myself wanting to play the games, but wanting an actual game. Someone should like do a roundup of, you know, turning print-to-play roll rights into boxes for those who want it, maybe. I don't know. Either way, I'm getting distracted. Should you back it, should you not? If you want it, you should back it. No, it won't hold its value. It's not something you can really sell. That's going to be it. It's a print-to-play roll right with a solo mode, with a whole bunch of stuff going on, with an infinite, basically near infinite city generator, and that's everything going on in Sunshine City. Which brings us lastly to Bagh of Dungeon 2, the Cursed Forest. Bagh of Dungeon 2, the Cursed Forest, 380 backers, 27 days to go, $17,000 raised. Bagh of Dungeon is the sequel to Bagh of Dungeon 1, hence the whole 2, the Cursed Forest. This is a game which you're going to have your action points as you wander around the dungeon. The dungeon can be these little tiles. You spend actions to engage with the enemies wandering around. The original game had an aspect in which potentially one player turned, kind of a betrayal at House on the Hill, but I don't know if this one does or doesn't as far as that goes. But $39 for £39, $47 for Bagh of Dungeon, including delivery over here. This lots of fun things. Looks like they really stepped it up as far as the artwork and presentation and components. If you look at the original Bagh of Dungeon 1, they really stepped this one up significantly from there. As far as should you back it, should you not? Tougher question. If you look at the original Bagh of Dungeon 1, that one definitely did not hold its value, and there was not a lot of demand for it. This one's doing a little better for sure. 380 backers already is not bad with 27 days to go. I am skeptical that this holds its value at the price point that's coming in, which is $47. You're already, that's plus shipping as well. You're putting it in a price point where it's like a full-fledged board game, but a lot of these Kickstarter games do become games that a lot of people never heard of. Some of them become games that many people heard of, and that happens a lot. But you just as often have games that never really enter the public eye. This might be one of them, which also makes it a game that's less likely to hold its value. I would say if you're interested in it, by all means back it, but I do think it's one that's less likely to hold its value overall. And that is everything. As far as Picks of the Week, before we do Picks of the Week, we have coming up next week, maybe, possibly, for the first time in who knows how long, coming up tomorrow actually, Quad Hero 2nd Edition is actually launching tomorrow, if everything goes well. I've been talking about this as an upcoming Kickstarter for over a year now, so I'm happy that it's actually a thing. We'll see what happens over there. I mean, there's other Kickstarters launching tomorrow, a whole bunch, including Moonrakers. It's actually a very happening day tomorrow. Next week's 2 Back and Not to Back should be very full, but yeah, we have Quad Hero 2nd Edition, all of that launching tomorrow. Which brings us to Picks of the Week. Picks of the Week is going to be twofold. As far as the one that's most likely to hold its value, I'm going to go with Moon, specifically the Super Pledge over here. To be very clear, there's nothing here this week that I think is an absolute slam dunk in the slightest, but I think that Moon Super Edition is the one that is most likely to hold its value as far as things go. And then as far as the interest pick of the week, I am going to go with, with Hijacked. Hijacked is the game. Sunshine City almost got my vote, but I'm not getting Sunshine City. Like, no matter what happens, I'm not getting it because I know for myself that I don't play those print-and-play roll rights. Hijacked, I don't think I'm backing it, but I may well get it once it shows up at retail. This is the game that I'm most interested in. Granted, I'm being definitely sold by the Mitchell's artwork. That happens whenever it happens. It is what it is, but hopefully there's a good game behind it as well. I'm very interested in Hijacked and hoping to pick it up at some point in the future. And that is everything. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. This has been a very short and quick 2 Back and Not to Pack, and as always, I hope you have a good one. Recently I ordered some German food over the internet. The sauerkraut arrived, but the worst has yet to come.